Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Friday coffee breaks. Today we're with Mike Taylor, a consultant at Forgestic, and he's going to be showing us the B1UP calendar dashboards. So welcome, Mike.
Thanks, Tracy. So I'm going to jump into the calendar dashboards here, as Tracy mentioned. Our agenda today, so we'll talk about the calendars. It's the B1UP dashboard widget. So you know how much I like the B1 usability package. It's an add-on that extends the capabilities of SAP Business One. So it is a dashboard, that widget that fits into that framework. I'll talk about the calendars a little bit. I'll talk about the business scenarios that you can use, and we'll do some demo examples in SAP Business One directly. So here is the B1UP dashboard system. If you haven't seen the B1UP dashboard system, this comes with the regular licenses. So as long as you have the licenses, you can enable them. This is one of the default layouts. So you can have, sales tab, sales pivot, CRM production. There's a whole bunch of default dashboard widgets and layouts. You can combine different widgets, and it comes with a lot of different basic ones. I won't cover too much in that in this webinar, but the B1UP dashboards are definitely, of all the things that you get with B1UP, the easiest thing that you get that's easiest to implement where you get value immediately is the dashboard. They're totally customizable by user, and we can do all that for you. In regards to the calendar, this is something that I've been experimenting with a little bit more, and it gives you a lot of different flexibility to view your data in a temporal manner, like on a timeline. So, just looking at this dashboard, it looks, like your standard calendars. And just to be upfront about this, it does not integrate to Outlook. This would be a secondary kind of calendar. So I was thinking about this. Does it make sense to have a second calendar? And I think in terms of looking at your data from within SAP Business One and being able to drill down into the different pieces of information, I think it really does. And if you're doing something like a warehouse-based calendar, which is kind of what I'm going to show you today, it's useful for the warehouse people who don't necessarily run an Outlook calendar as like in a managerial way, but they want to be able to see with an overview of their week some of the tasks that they would be doing throughout the week, and kind of have alerts, and not something where the alert pops up, but something where you can keep track of the various tasks that a particular user would be doing. So to look at the dashboard user interface here, you can see we have the mini calendars. You can hide these. I also like to advocate for hiding this main menu. I think honestly, it's pretty pointless to have this, especially if you're running the dashboards. Why have this? I mean, once you start to have any document overlaying this, you now have to minimize all of your documents to get back to that. What I like to do is push this little triangle. I like to use the modules and have the various, pieces of the various menus here just from this modules at the top. So modules, sales order. Then no matter what I have, I can always open another one. I'm not restricted to having that sidebar, and I have a lot larger space to use my dashboard. So I can do that, business partners, and it always overlays. So from my standpoint, that's just a little trick for getting a little bit more out of your dashboards. So you can do that. You can also get rid of this sidebar, but this kind of works the same as Outlook, right? You can do the highlighting here, and you can have your different weeks. Let's go back a little bit. We can go here, and you can put these different weeks and have them. You can switch between the different views. So we can do day view, work week view, which would just be Monday to Friday, and that's customizable. You can do your full week. Obviously, that's the weekend if maybe you have operations on the weekends. And again, you can say your work week is whatever days you want. You can customize that within this calendar view. We have a monthly view where you can highlight these. This will show you your month view here. So you can look at those. You have a timeline view, which is really interesting. It's kind of like as the time's passing through, you can see more of like a task view. So this is where, like, if you're not necessarily doing something at a specific time of the day, maybe this is more a view that you would want to make default for the warehouse. So perhaps you had just customers coming to pick up in their products on a specific day. So you can mouse over there and see, oh, there's a customer pickup 1:30 today. There's a customer pickup at 10:30 today, and you can drill into those documents as well directly from here and see exactly what's going to be on those particular orders. You can also see a purchase order is coming in and is due today. So something from the warehouse standpoint that even as you are going through your regular customer service processes, if you just note the days that the customer is going to pick up those deliveries, you can filter and set them and use those as something that appears on your dashboard. And again, without really having to integrate to Outlook or do anything fancy like that, the warehouse can just browse and look at this list and see when those would happen. So that's what's called the timeline view. Then we also have the agenda view. So this is kind of, I like this view. It's in order for the different days. So this can be kind of set up. You could set this on another monitor, make it vertical. And then this is kind of sort of like, your McDonald's order queues, and you can have this in a vertical way, and then you can have customer pickup if you were worried about that coming in, and just have an overview of what your warehouse processes are in terms of a timeline. So you could get rid of that. You can actually launch these dashboards in a separate window outside of Business One. Put that on a second monitor in a public area in the warehouse and use it to track what's coming in and what's supposed to be coming out, even if you have it in like a shipping bay or shipping area. Okay, so that's the agenda view. When you do your setup, you can do a default on what view you are going to see. And you could see I've combined a few different things here. So I have a production order in the middle, another production order on Wednesday. I have service calls here, and you can drill into these or hold your mouse over them. So I've seen service calls. It's kind of just a combination of a couple different things I thought would be neat to show. We have purchase orders due on this day. So this purchase order from vendor number 75 should be delivered on that day. So again, if the warehouse is looking at it, this doesn't have a specific time, but it's set kind of in that all day range, where you can just say, oh, this is supposed to arrive on this day, whereas some of this data actually has a start and an end time. You can also, I forgot to mention here, show only your work time. So instead of having 12 a.m., you can set a work time, which is that you can see the lighter, the white box in the middle is the work week, and the gray area is kind of non-work week times. So you can actually just toggle that. I forgot to mention that too. It makes it a little bit cleaner. So again, with this production, you could drill into the production order. You can see this. Okay, if this was just for production, there are actually there are more ways you can interact with this. There's a resource view that I won't cover today where you can balance these. You can actually drag and drop these to change the times. So you can start to move around these service calls. You can, make the duration longer. You can move them to other days. You can start to actually change them. And as you move them around the calendar, they actually update the due dates and the time fields from the various tasks here, the various items. And you can set those as well. And I've set the sales order, say, for example, for these pickups. So if the customer service reps go through with the customer and they say, oh, what time are you planning on picking things up? They go 10:30. Okay. So again, with the warehouse, they can say, oh, we have a customer pickup at 10:30. We need to make sure that this is packed and ready. And you could do this for, basically any document in the system. I also have added this neat one here where it's a batch expiration. So you can actually set, if you have batches expiring, if you would like to have periodic cycle count notifications here, if you would want to do anything where it's, you could really think of anything that you would want to have here. So you can drill into here and you can say, oh, this particular batch is expiring. and I want to make sure that I either throw that out or get it retested or whatever your process is for that particular type of item. But you can see that you can make those appear. And these aren't time of the day based, they're date of the month based here. So if we drill down into the different calendars, you have these different views. So I made one here called a webinar example, but you have all these other specific views. So by default, you could say my webinar example view includes these particular types of data. And we'll just drill into this calendar a little bit. Edit this calendar. So I've included these different views, and I have just basically customized the specific calendar kind of items. And these ones all come with the B1UP calendar widget. So these ones you just check off which ones you want on that particular calendar. And you can add your own custom ones. So let's drill into this pickup. And you can see it's just an SQL query. It has a certain number of variables there, and then it has different columns for how you're going to show them. So you could have different images. There's a resource view where you can balance between resources. You can do different back color, fore color, details, locations, usernames. You can do all these variables, and you can use a custom tooltip as well. Change the text colors, the background colors, the images as static. And then you can customize the drag and drop action, resize action, and resource switch action. You can control what users can view that data. And then again, you can use this information to combine all those different pieces of information into a specific calendar. So again, if this is webinar example, maybe this is like, warehouse management view, then that would be shown with all these. So you can have all sales orders. You could filter for one warehouse's specific set of orders and pickups. So you could have just your specific ones. So you can say, based on a specific criteria, show only my particular orders. Maybe you could do a sales employee view and say, here's where my quotes are going to expire, or here's where I had set a follow-up date on an activity. So you can visualize this. You can use your own opportunities, and you can basically customize this to show a series of data on screen. And again, especially useful if the user is already within SAP and perhaps they're already using a warehouse grid view that lists upcoming sales orders or purchase orders. You can, again, combine that maybe into a more useful calendar view so you can see how your week is going to stack up that way. Last kind of thing I was going to talk about here is the projects. So I have projects here. This also integrates with the projects. You can get more specific, and even if you want, you could put the stages of a project and lay those out between days. I don't think it's really a replacement for like a really detailed Gantt chart, and there is already a Gantt chart in the project reports. But this would allow you at least to manage it again on a temporal basis so that you can see all the data in one of the different views. So similar to, again, Outlook, you can highlight different ranges of time. Where did I have more data here? I think I had more here. So you can see multi-week, and it just works. It's just a nice working calendar. So I go back to today. We can do week view. Oh, I'll go back to the work week view, and then we can go to the next week. And you can kind of, get a good quick overview of what's coming up. And I think that really is a powerful tool that gives a lot of visibility to warehouse people, sales people, customer service people for, having dynamic sales orders, and anything else you can kind of think of that has a time-based element to it.
Mike, there's also another thing too, like when you're looking in the purchase orders, if you go in through the calendar and modify something, it's going to be modified in SAP as well.
Yeah, I had mentioned that if you move this around, it will actually update the due dates. So if I change that, like say the customer calls, say you're a customer service rep and the customer calls and they say, oh, could I pick it up on Thursday at 10:30? You could just drag it there, and then reflected in the actual document, you will see that it has been moved there. So it is something that works well for that. So yeah.
I have another question too, because I saw in the French session this morning, I want to know, do you have to activate this through the, on the dashboards, the widgets? Because Fred was showing this morning, I think that's where he activated it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so I mean, what you would do is you'd make a new view. So right now I have several views, sales, service, etc. And so I added a new view, which is a new tab. And then, like you're saying, this is just a widget. So this little widget here, you basically just add widget, and then you can go, and I have a whole bunch in here. So you would add the calendar widget from right here, and then that would add it there. So like we were kind of talking about, you could do, you could integrate it with the common functions. You could integrate it with your open documents. Where's my open items list? And so you can kind of build your view how you want to see it. Oops. And put it like that. So I didn't cover that too much, but move this over here. And then so you can make this a full view, and you can combine grids and other things too. So you could have half of this be the calendar and half of this be a grid, get rid of this date. And then, so you can really go crazy with customization on this. I didn't talk about that too much for the setup, but yeah, so again, really kind of a nice basic calendar. If your users don't really need to have a specific outlook, especially for these customer pickups, and I really think logistics and customer service, it really works great for them, and allows you to do those functions.
And this comes with B1UP, so anybody that has B1UP knows how many features it has. I mean, it has a lot of different features in the Boyum B1UP. So this is already, it's in your B1UP. So if someone has it, you just have to activate it.
Yeah, it's all included. So nothing, no additional licensing or anything.
Yep. So does anyone have any questions?
Oops.
No questions?
That. So
you've got the chat box.
Yeah, it does. So, it doesn't replace Outlook, but it's very flexible, and you can drill down into the information, which is something you couldn't do from Outlook if you do need to actually view the document. Easy drag and drop. It has UDFs with the times and dates. And I think on my sales order, I was actually using a UDF, not the due date. So, it's a nice visual way to view data. And that's about it. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, you've got the chat box, and I can unmute you too if you want to.
Is there a chat box? I don't.
I think we're good.
Well,
thank you very much, Mike. Have a nice weekend, everybody.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tracy. Bye, everybody.